notice our seniors, and by gosh, there's only 10, and maybe only about 6 or 7 who are really frontline players. So, I'm not going to make any statement that says we'll be back, but maybe.
Great championship season got started back in August, a week early this year because of the new playoff schedule. As usual, the Glads opened against their arch rivals, the Benzie Central Huskies, on a warm afternoon at Thurlby Field. As you might imagine, this one was a little rough around the edges as a first game of the season, and there were some bumps in the road. Here was a fumble that was alertly recovered by Joe Ratola, and it was fortunate that he did, because on the very next play, the Glads were going to bust off their first touchdown of the year. This was a handoff again to Tim Wolf. Might even been the same play that they attempted on the one before that resulted in a fumble. But this time it's going to go all the way for a 58-yard touchdown run. Tim bounces off the pile, and he's on his way. No one was even close. Gladiator touchdown. Put them ahead 6-0. The extra point wasn't any good, and that's how it stood for a while in the first half. The Gladiators enjoyed some fine kicking this year, not the least of which was from B.J. Brick, who did the kickoffs and the extra points and field goal tries. Here was B.J.'s very first varsity kickoff, and watch this missile go sailing into the end zone. Wow. Couple plays later, it was B.J. Brick again, this time as one of the defensive ends, busting in to set up a very nice sack of the Benzie quarterback. He fought off that block by 44 and grabbed hold and hung on. Well, not only did the Gladiators have some great kickoffs from B.J. Brick, they had some fantastic punting from Ben Beckwith. We didn't need Ben very often, but when we did, he was there and he did a fantastic job. Look at this first punt of the year from the 50-yard line. Ben slugs this thing 45 yards, and it rolls dead right on the 3-yard line. How's that for a first kick? Well, the Gladiator defense played a very stout game all the way, but they did have one little play that almost cost us a touchdown. Well, it sure looked like half the team was in on this tackle, and all of a sudden the runner breaks loose and scampers all the way down the left sideline for an apparent touchdown. Chris almost got to him, but couldn't quite catch him, and it looked like a 6-6 tie. But wait a minute. Back upfield, there's that telltale yellow laundry. This one was coming back. Well, one of the bigger guys on this year's squad was number 74, Ryan McManus. And he delivered some big plays all year long, including this fine sack on the Benzie quarterback in the second half. In the first. Couple plays later, Benzie was forced to kick, and this time Tim Wolf was the one to come up with a big play. He's going to squirt through the middle and get in and put a big block on this kick, and Jake Richardson's going to recover it, allowing the Glads to go off at halftime with a slim 6-0 lead. The Gladiators got off to a fast start in the second half. Now watch this play, and particularly the two guys on the left end, 75 and 30. That's Classens and Gallagher. Watch this cross block. Opens a huge hole, and with a little help from our lead back, Tim Wolf's going to squirt through and run for a 39-yard touchdown to give the Gladiators their second score of the night.
39 yards for Tim Wolf. Beautiful hole over there. Classens and Rotolo opened up.
With the Gladiators up 12-0, they decided to go for a 2-point conversion. Keep an eye on number 27, Zane Breidup. He's going to lead Tim Wolf into the end zone, and he's absolutely going to bury the guy that was going to make the tackle. Just put a tombstone over him, and Tim slips in for that score. Now here's some more great defense from the Gladiators. This time Chris Bigger, number 73, is going to run this quarterback down and put a heavy hit on him just as he's letting loose of the ball. And Max Janis is going to get the pick. There's the hit. There's the pick. Here's a real nice play by our nose guard, number 10, Danny Redmond. He's going to carry a lineman right back with him and upset the apple cart there right as the runner got the ball for a nice stop. When they got the ball back a couple of plays later, the Gladiators went to the air. This was a pretty nice pass from Steve Demney after a couple fakes that held the defenders in to Ben Carlson, who scampers for 30 yards down to the 30-yard line of the Huskies. Well, the Gladiators drove down and had the ball on the goal line. This time, Steve's going to hand it off quick to 26, Max Janis, and he's going to slip into the end zone for his first score of the year. And the Gladiators had a 20-0 lead. The kick was good, and they led by 21. Well, the Glads continue to play some pretty good defense, and here is Austin Bunnick, number 42, recovering a fumble in the Benzie backfield. Gave the Glads the ball down deep. Few plays later, the Glads will cap off their final score of the of the night with this handoff to Zane Breidup, who's going to power into the end zone. We didn't really get it very well. We kind of missed it. Good fake, but the Gladiators win it 28-0.
Nice job. He's run well here in the second half.
Second game of the season was a visit from the Glen Lake Lakers, who were playing the Gladiators during the regular season for the first time in a long time. Well, the Gladiators got on the board early with this nice touchdown run by Zane Breidup, who powered it into the end zone. The PAT was no good, and the Glads enjoyed a 6-0 lead. The second Gladiators score was set up by this real nice run by Ben Carlson. Watch the blocks from number 21, Jim Urban, and number 62, Ben Beckwith. Spring Ben out there for a nice 17-yard gain. On the next play, ball's going to go to number 26, Max Janis, and he's going to take it in behind the sound blocking of Joe Rotola, 65, and Ryan McManus, number 74. Glads up 12-0. The Lakers did draw within 6 on this touchdown in the first half. Keeper by number 8, the quarterback, who snuck it in, and it was 12-6. The Gladiators pulled away with this touchdown by Ben Carlson. Watch 65, Joe Rotola. He's going to come across and deliver a key block to spring Ben loose. And, of course, Ben put some nice moves on number 2 there. A couple plays later, Ben would cap it off with this touchdown gallop of 14 yards. Boy, he's hard to catch when he's on the loose out there. Nice run. Glads went for 2 after missing on the previous attempt, and Tim Wolf is going to pick it up with a little dive into the end zone here, giving the Glads a 20-6 lead. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Steve Demney. He snuck in there and made it. Well, the next Gladiators score was set up by a nice combination with Chris Bigger making a hit on the ball carrier, and Danny Redmond alertly coming up with the fumble recovery. Deep in Laker territory.
Danny Redmond recovered a fumble. Oh my God, the Gladiator line is ready.
Well, after the Gladiators drive stalled a little bit, they called on B.J. Brick to boot this 27-yard field goal, and he hammered it right through, giving the Glads a 23-6 lead. Well, the Gladiator defense was really intimidating in this game, and here's a fine play by number 63, Pat Lund, who got a little help from Joe Rotola. Watch him slide in here and grab the, I think it's the running back, for a big loss in the backfield. Nice job. Well, Gladiators got the ball back, and Tim Wolf ripped off this nice 26-yard run with a little help from Jim Urban's block. Boy, he carried his guy right out of the play, and Tim does it again to number 2, and nice gain. Very next play, Tim gets the ball again, and this time finishes the job with a nice 34-yard run. Boy, oh boy, he split the defenders there, and no one was going to bring him down. Gladiators went off at halftime with a comfortable 30-6 lead. Well, the second half was pretty much more of the same, with the Gladiators continuing to roll. Here's a touchdown run by Ben Carlson. The PAT was good, and the Glads were up 37-6. Well, Ryan McManus made the Free Press All-State team this year, and he certainly deserved it. And here's a good example of some of the fine plays that Ryan made this year. He was always a menace in the backfield on defense. Well, Max Janis got on the board again with this fine 12-yard gallop into the end zone. He busted a couple tackles, including taking a guy on right at the goal line. And the Glads had a 43-6 lead. With the mercy clock running, late in the game, Tom Hollenbeck connected with his nice, good end, number 7, Mr. Fisher, for this touchdown to narrow the gap from 43 to 14. Gladiators had promised Coach Sellers 50 points, and they picked it up here as time wound down on Danny Redmond's fine run for his first varsity TD. BJ's kick was good, and the Glads had a well-earned, decisive 50-14 victory. Well, the Gladiators played Game 3 in a kind of a rainy afternoon over in Kalkaska against the Blue Blazers.
Our guys are, he threw it up already. They're talking about it.
Well, the Gladiators took their opening possession and drove down the field, capped it off with a real nice touchdown run by Max Janis, who follows Chris Gallagher and Ben Beckwith, who delivered some great blocks over on the right side into the end zone. The PAT was good, and the Glads had a 7-0 lead. Well, Joe Rotola's real fine block sprung Ben Carlson on this 70-yard touchdown run. Give the Gladiators a second score in this game. Once again, the PAT was good. Ben outrunning number 32 there, and the Glads were up 14-0. Well, in any shutout, you're going to have some good defensive plays, and the Gladiators had a whole bunch of them in this one. Here's a sack by Zane Breitup, who busts in and grabs the quarterback and throws him to the ground on the third down play. Well, the Gladiators got the ball back after the punt, and right away, Steve Demney drops back off a couple fakes, spots Tim Wolf, and fires a strike to him. 38-yard gain. Couple plays later, Steve Demney goes to the air again, and this time finds Jim Urban in the end zone. Jim's first varsity touchdown catch. Gladiators went up 21-0 on BJ's kick. Well, Beckwith and Gallagher did some great blocking on this touchdown run, too. They're going to collapse the whole left side, the right side of the line, and open it up for Ben Carlson to go in for another touchdown and give the Gladiators a 28-zip halftime lead. Well, in the second half, the Gladiators were still going to the air, and watch this real fine effort by Chris Gallagher. It wasn't a real deep pass, kind of a little swing pass, and look at this great running. Boy, oh boy, good thing, too bad he wasn't without his jersey. He'd have gone in for a TD. Well, the Gladiators actually had 2 touchdowns called back before they finally got one to stick. Here's a handoff right up the middle to Ben Carlson, and he sprints into the end zone to make the score 34-0. Well, these extra points when the score is 34-0 are often interesting, and proved to be the case again on this particular night when, lo and behold, trying to get that 35th point just was awfully tough. Gladiators kept up the defensive pressure throughout the game, and here's the sack of the second half. Highlights Joe Ratola comes blasting through and takes the quarterback down hard. Nice job. A real nice block from John Moquin on this Tim Wolf touchdown run. Sprung Tim out there, and yeah, he cleared that guy out, and Tim cut back and fooled everyone else and scampered into the end zone. PAT was good. With Tim Wolf at the helm late in the fourth quarter, the Gladiators got their last touchdown on a nifty run by Dan Redmond. Faked out a couple of guys and scampered into the end zone. Zane Breitup number 1 backup place kicker, got a chance and nailed the 48th point to give the Gladiators a 48-0 whitewashing of the Blazers. Game number 4 was back home again at Thurlby, this time against the Elk Rapids Elks. This game was so one-sided it could have been a Gladiator highlight from one end to the other. Well, as the sign says, it sure was open season on Elks. The Gladiators set the tone early with some fine defensive plays, and this is a real nice tackle by Tim Wolf, who dives over a big pile of guys to grab the runner in the backfield and haul him down for a loss. Well, the Gladiators scored early and often, starting off this series of 3 plays with a 30-yard gallop by Ben Carlson on the pitch from Wolf, and boy, did he dropped a couple guys on the turf, didn't he? Ben got a little rest on this next play, and Zane took the ball and blasted it down to about the 8-yard line. And on the next play, back to Ben, who would finish it off with a shot into the end zone for a Gladiator touchdown. B.J. Brick lined up the extra point, and he hammered it through, and the Glads had a 7-zip lead. Gladiators had a bunch of picks in this game, and the first one was by Joe Rotola. Quarterback was getting a lot of pressure, and Joe picked it off, and not bad for a lineman. After a nice run by Max Janis, this touchdown run by Tim Wolf was keyed by a real nice block by number 10, Dan Redmond. He took 55 right out of the play, and Tim did the rest. Touchdown, Gladiators. All the Elk passing really allowed the defenders to line up the quarterback, and here comes Chris Gallagher. Boy, he was in there like a flash and hammered that guy. Well, the Elks did mount a little bit of a rally, but that was snuffed out by this fine fumble recovery by Ryan McManus. A little too tricky there by the Elks, and Ryan came up with the ball.
And that fumble was recovered by number 74, Ryan McManus.
A couple plays later, Ryan came up big with a real fine block, and Jim Urban, too, number 21, spring Ben Carlson for this 33-yard touchdown gallop.
Runs off the right side in a big hole, cuts it back twice. Boy, they don't even touch
Hardly
him.
touched him.
Unbelievable. Great 30.
PAT was good. Glad's 21-zip. Well, it was more of the same for the Elks. Here's a real fine play by Max Janis, who gets a tackle for loss behind the line of scrimmage on a pitch. On the ensuing possession, the Gladiator touchdown this time was set up by a fine run by Zane right up 35 yards. And boy, watch him bounce off of some of these guys. Or actually, watch them bounce off of him. Well, actually, the Gladiator TD came off of this punt return by Ben Carlson for 45 yards. It was one of those re-kicks. We had a couple of those in that game, and it was a handoff from Tim Wolf, and Ben cut around the right side, and before you knew it, he was in the end zone. Gladiators 27-0. Dave Glassens came up with a big hit on this play that jarred the ball loose and into the hands of Tim Wolf, and the Gladiators went to halftime leading 27-0.
Intercepted by Tim Wolf, and he's brought down immediately.
Well, the second half started pretty much the way the first half ended, and this time it's going to be Chris Baker putting the big smack on the quarterback, and Ben Carlson hauling in the pick. And a tremendous run back here. A little bit spoiled by a penalty at the end, but still a really fine run. Tim Wolf's pass to Zane Breithaupt on this play would be good for 14 yards.
First and 23. Long ways. Wolf back to pass. Little safety valve over here to Zane, and he's got an aisle up the middle of the field, and he's charging back down to the 11-yard line. Nice gain by Zane Breithaupt.
The very next play, Tim's going to hand it off to Max Janis, and he's going to blast into the end zone. Big hole over there on the left side. But some hard running, too, by Max to take it in, and the Glads went up 34-zip. Well, now it was the turn of the defense to score some points, and Joe Rotola is going to get another pick on this one after another Chris Bigger smack on the quarterback. And, boy, Joe's going to be all alone out there. He's going to bust one tackle and sprint into the end zone. Boy, don't you love it when a lineman scores a touchdown? Well, that made the score 41-0 with the PAT, and here's some more stellar Gladiator defense. Pat Lund and Zane Breithaupt are just going to really hammer this runner. He must have felt that. Well, fullback on the Gladiator squad is not very often a glamorous spot, but every now and then someone makes it that way, and John Moquin had a couple of fine runs back-to-back. I'll tell you, he was almost too much to tackle. There's a 37-yard pickup, and just to prove that he was fit and in shape, he took the ball again on the very next play, and he's going to finish off what he started by scooting 19 more yards into the end zone. Pretty nice hole over there on the left side, and John was in there. PAT wasn't good, and first play of the fourth quarter featured this Jeremy Shell pick. Just like a center fielder should. He reached over his shoulder and hauled it in, and got a couple nice return yards too. As he did on a number of occasions, Dan Redmond finished out the scoring for the Gladiators with this nice run. And Zane Breidaupt's PAT gave the Gladiators their 54-0 lead. One last stellar defensive play before the Gladiators went into the locker room with this victory, and this was a Chris Mills hit on the quarterback that caused the fumble, and John Moquin alertly jumped on it, and that was the ball game. Well, in Week 5, the Gladiators ventured up to Charlevoix to take on the Red Raiders. This was another lopsided Gladiator victory. The very first play from scrimmage featured Ben Carlson going 71 yards for a Gladiator touchdown. A lot of good blocking. Tim Wolf had a very nice block on this play, and Ben broke a couple tackles, and that was it. He was gone. PAT was good, and the Glads led 7-0. Well, the Red Raiders took advantage of a costly Gladiator fumble deep in their own territory to pick up the ball on the 2-yard line, and they were able to punch this in. The PAT was no good, so the Gladiators hung on to a 1-point lead. A couple nice runs by John Moquin set up the opportunity for another Ben Carlson touchdown run. This time some good blocking from Ben Beckwith, Chris Gallagher, and Tim Wolf again spring Ben, and he scoots 31 yards into the end zone for another Gladiator score. B.J. Brick's extra point try was perfect, and the Glads led 14-6. Well, the Glads got quite a break on this punt play. Ben got off a pretty good kick from his own 47-yard line. It bounces around down close to the goal line, and this Red Raider was foolish enough to try and pick it up down around the 6 and gets hammered by John Moquin, and Joe Rotola comes up with it on the 2. Well, after a penalty, which moved the ball even closer, Max Janis punches the ball in, running off the right side, and Glads led 20-6 with the 21st point supplied by B.J. Bricks. Nice extra point kick. Well, the Red Raiders have always had a potent offense. Their defense has left a lot to be desired, but they were able to move the ball on occasion, and here they got down close enough to actually kick a field goal. But they foolishly took the 3 points off the board and accepted the benefit of a penalty, only to have Ben Carlson pick this pass in the end zone. The Raiders came away with nothing. 2 plays later, after the Glads, of course, got the ball on the 20, Tim Wolf takes this reverse and goes around the left side, breaks a few tackles, outruns number 21, and goes 75 yards for a Gladiator score. The PAT was good. Glads up 28-6. Well, the Gladiators scored one more time here in the first half, and this one was another night.